Can you do the test with me, big boy? Big boy? Can you do the test on both Zoom and then Facebook? Can you go in through the eBlast? Did you get that? Did you get the eBlast? Today? Today? Yeah. Here comes me. So you got into Zoom and you're pretty much ready to go on Facebook when I get that going? Okay. Thank you, boy. Hello, so if you're tuning in on Zoom or Facebook Live, I'm John Fisher, and we're just getting set up for the show tonight, HuntHart, which will happen at 8:05 p.m. So it's just a technical setup. We're gonna make sure everything's all set to go. So we'll start with Zoom. So here we are, and we're just gonna test out some things technically. So we're checking for echo, for weird echo with the sound. Now we're checking for sync. Now we're checking for the zoom feature. Now we're checking for loss of screen. And again, okay, good. And now for distance of sound, checking to make sure it is picking us up in the distance of sound. This is a test for distance of sound. Thank you. Good. If you're just tuning in, we're getting set up for tonight's performance of HuntHart at 8:05 p.m. right here on Zoom and Facebook Live. Please stand by. Okay. Good. No echo. Good sync. Okay, good. And yeah, so we're going to try Facebook Live. Hello, so if you're tuning into us on Zoom or Facebook Live, we're just getting set up for tonight's performance of HuntHart at 8:05 p.m. I'm John Fisher, and this is a technical rehearsal. So let's try some things. We're testing for echo, strange electronic echo. We're now testing for sync. We're now testing for the zoom feature. Whoops. We're now testing for the loss of screen. Very good. And we're now testing distance of sound, making sure that it is still picking me up at a distance. We're testing for distance of sound, the distance of the sound, making sure that it can pick me up even when I go far away. Testing for distance of sound. Okay. All right. Good. No echo, no good sync, no echo. I mean, echo, no sync, and distance was good. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. We're just getting set up for tonight's performance at 8:05 p.m. right here, Sassy Mouth and Central Services production of Heart Hunt. And it'll begin at 8:05 p.m. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, and that was our technical rehearsal. Good. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Mama, 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 mama. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Mama, 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 mama. Mama, 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 mama. Mama, mama, mama. Mama, 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 mama. Wah, 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 wah. Mama, 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 mama. Mama, 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 mama. Oh. This chubby boy. Thank you. Love you. Do you need anything? Do anything? Okay. Love you more. Wow, 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 wow. Hello, I'm John Fisher, and this is Hunt Heart. Now, as with all of these shows, I'm going to need you to help me make some sounds. There's not that many tonight, just a couple, but they're important sounds. So I want to have a little rehearsal, okay? So let's go through the rehearsal and just come up with some sounds. I can sort of hear you, right? I sense you out there. Helps me, helps you to make the sounds. Okay, so let's begin with a dog barking. Can you give me some dog barks at home? Come on, everybody, dog barks. Good, 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 good. I felt some good dog barks out there. Good work, good work. They sounded a little yappy, like little tiny dogs, like little yappy dogs. They're not really like that. These are more like hounds. Think Hound of the Baskervilles. Okay, really bass dogs. Good, good, good. We got some good hounds out there. Great, good work, everybody. Okay, so when I ask for the hounds, give me the hounds, and when I ask for other things, just hop on in. Yeah, you can do this at home with yourself, with your partner, with your animal. Yeah, you don't even have to get up to do it. Just sit there and do it. Yeah, thank you. So this is a story about Huntington Hartford. His full name was George Huntington Hartford, and he was the heir to the A&P fortune, the grocery store fortune, the supermarket fortune. He's one of the richest men in the 20th century. Exciting, huh? He was one of the 10 richest, and he had hundreds of millions of dollars because he inherited all from this chain store. The full name, George Huntington Hartford II. Yes, his grandfather had been the first, and he was amazing. And I became obsessed with him, and I don't know why, because he has very little to say to me. As a gay man, this guy's got very little to say to me. So why was I obsessed with him? I think it might have been because, well, he kind of fit my image of the 20s, 30s playboy, always like playing tennis to the strains of Cole Porter. Da 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 da, da da da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da da da. Da 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 da. Oh, da 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 da. Yeah, maybe that was it. But why? What else? Maybe it was because he was chums with Errol Flynn. Yes, Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn. He, the first action star in Hollywood. Yes, I came to Hollywood and became the first action star. My movies were legendary. I was so incredibly handsome. I used to say without my mustache, I looked a little wolfish. It's because I was a wolf. I was a wolf in mustache's clothing. Yes, and in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, I had a series of excellent action pictures. They were phenomenal. Captain Blood, Gentleman Jim, they died with their boots on, and everybody's favorite, filmed in Golden Gate Park. Yes, Robin Hood. I was a swashbuckler. Da 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 da. Ah! Da 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 da. Ah! Da 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 da. Ha! Da 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 da. Ha! Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Ha! Of course, by the time I met Huntington Hartford, it was the 50s, and I was somewhat different. I had become quite dissolute by then. Yes, indeed. I loved my alcohol. Mm. I wrote a book about it all, about my decadence. It's called My Wicked, Wicked Ways. I definitely recommend it. It's a page turner. Now, Huntington came to me because I was the greatest actor of all time, and he wanted to remake the American theater. He hated the strangeness of the American theater, of all American culture, abstraction, the literature of Faulkner, the plays of Arthur Miller and Thornton Wilder. He thought they were all too strange. He wanted classics, so he came to me because I was English. Of course I wasn't. I was Australian, but don't tell anybody. They think I'm all English. Mm. And he created his own version of Jane Eyre. Yes, who keeps giving me wine? Nobody drinks wine. A real gentleman always drinks a cocktail. Yes. Do you know why it's called a cocktail? Because it gets your cock ready for some tail. He was getting me ready to perform in his play, The Master of Thornhill, which was his adaptation of Emily Bronte's immortal classic, Jane Eyre. Yes, Jane Eyre. Now, I had some very, very specific thoughts about the scenic design. I was most insistent there would have to be two fireplaces, one on either side of the stage. And I would spend most of my time crossing back and forth between the two fireplaces in scenes like this one. Jane Eyre, come in. I'm well this morning. Jane Eyre, how are you? Of course, I was reading off of teleprompters. Uh, Poor Huntington, he was distraught. He used to come charging backstage and say, "Learn your lines." I said, "Why should I?" He'd say, "Because you're an actor. Actors learn their lines." I said, "I'm not an actor, I'm a movie star." He didn't seem to understand the concept. And he didn't want me to have a cocktail and a cigarette on stage. I'm sure Rochester would have had a cocktail and a cigarette on stage. Well, I became most annoyed with him, and it was time to get some revenge. So, in the second act, after he'd shouted at me at intermission, I had a scene where my dogs were barking off stage. Yes, outside of Thornhill. So, give me some dogs barking, would you please? I think you rehearsed this. Yes, 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 yes. And so I shouted to my dogs, "Down, Huntington, down, Hartford." Not amused. He came back during the second intermission and yelled at me some more. I'd had enough of it. So, in the third act, when I was talking to Jane Eyre, she'd fallen in love with me. I took her in my arms and I said, "Jane, dear Jane, you don't want me. You want a rich man. I'm poor. Rochester is poor. You want a rich man. You want a chain store heir." Poor Huntington, wanting to prove himself so desperately, when all along all he really should have had was a drink and a cigarette. He never really learned how to relax and enjoy himself. He should have read my book, my wicked, 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 wicked. I can't remember how many wickeds there were. My wicked, wicked, wicked way. Of course, another reason I was probably obsessed with him is I love weird American fortunes, right? Because Americans, we don't make our money by inheriting it from people who go all the way back to Columbus, right? No, that's more European to inherit the money, to come from royalty, nobility. We make our money through creating weird and strange things. Like, for instance, when I was growing up, there was a guy in our town who made a whole bunch of money. His father had, and he'd inherited it from seatbelts. He was the seatbelt heir. How American is that? And so there must be people who made their money off of TV dinners. The TV dinner heir, the panty heir, the pantyhose heir, the jockstrap heir. Oh my goodness, there must be a condom heir, Mr. and Mrs. Trojan. That was Huntington Hartford. He made his money off of groceries. His grandfather had started the A&P supermarket. It was the Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. And he passed it on to his sons. He had three sons, Huntington Hartford's two uncles and his father, and the uncles were great at running this business, and they came up with all sort of creative innovations. It wasn't a boring business. They were the first company to offer a gift with purchase. It started with them, the A&P, and they also had cash and carry. Remember, before their supermarket, you would go into a market and you'd say, "I want some eggs," and the owner would bring you eggs. You'd say, "I want some milk," and the owner would bring you milk. Now you go into a huge store and you do the shopping, you do the carrying, you pick the things off the shelf, and there was no credit. It was all cash, cash and carry. And finally, they were one of the great innovators of the supermarket. No longer just a market with a certain number of goods, dry goods, and some food. Now a supermarket with everything in it. There was food, there was poultry, there was meat, there was fish, there was toilet paper, there was diapers, right? Everything was contained in this supermarket. And you would go in there and shop to your heart's content. And that was what made the millions for the A&P. Now, this was mostly the uncles doing, as I said, and Huntington Hartford's father was left out of it mostly. He was an inventor. He brought the shock absorber to the United States. But after that, his brothers, Huntington Hartford's uncles, didn't trust him. So they banished him from the business. He still made a third of the profits, but they wouldn't let him be involved in the business at all. He was too creative, too free spirited. He descended into depression. He retreated into his study, rarely to be seen by his family. "Daddy, Daddy, it's Huntington. Daddy, would you take me to the zoo?" How old are you now, kid? What are you, 5, 6? I'm 8 years old, Daddy. Will you take me out somewhere fun? No, I'm too busy. I'm working on some things. I'm a creative artist. I don't have time now. Would you take me for a walk with the dogs? Please, Daddy? No. You know, when I was your age, I didn't even want to be seen with my parents. I didn't want to say, why don't you go out and play a sport like rugby or cricket or something? Be productive. Be a man. Leave me alone. Yeah. Daddy, Daddy. Fortunately, my mother loved me. She doted on me. She pampered me. And when my father died, I was only 11. And my mummy came to me. Dear Huntington, poor little boy, you've lost your father. You never really had him, did you? Now he's gone. Are you sad? Yes, Mommy. I always thought he'd take me to the zoo. Oh, Huntington, your father wasn't that way. Not as a father, not as a husband. Would you like to sleep in my room tonight? Yes, Mommy. I'd like that very much. I'm going to pamper you like my only child. Your sister Caroline doesn't need your attentions. You need everything you can get from me. Come into my bedroom. You'll sleep in my bed. Come, Huntington. Oh, Mummy, thank you, Mummy, thank you. You're my own dear boy, my dear, precious little one. And I did sleep with her that night, and many nights thereafter. And we didn't just sleep together. We were lonely. She never had a husband. I never had a father. And now he was gone. And what little he'd given us was gone too, and we needed each other. So we became everything to each other. I didn't know any better. I just knew that she loved me. And that's all I ever wanted. But eventually, it was time for me to go to school. So she packed me up and sent me off to New Hampshire to St. Paul's School. Now, she was socially ambitious, and she thought it was the perfect place for me because she'd always pampered me and treated me like I was special, a rich boy. She wanted everybody to know that we were wealthy. And so I thought I'd fit right in because I was now going to school with children who were scions of the Astors and the Vanderbilts. We all wore uniforms. I thought, here I am, a rich boy, but they didn't like that. They thought it was very nouveau riche to brag about things. They teased me at St. Paul's. And in the showers at night, I was traumatized. I was terrified by those showers. For my first 2 years, to this day, it makes me shake. And here I could relate to Huntington also, because of course, when I was in high school, I was terrified of the showers. I wouldn't go in them. I would look over at the showers and be these big buff guys all lathering up. I'm like, I'm not going to go in there. That's crazy. So I just didn't go in. But Huntington did. It scarred him for the rest of his life. Eventually, though, I became quite a good student. I excelled in English. I even became good at sports. But I made a massive mistake in my final year. I cheated on a final exam. I looked over a boy's shoulder. I don't know why I did it. I was smarter than him. He was stupid. Maybe I thought it made me cool, like I'd fit in somehow, looking over somebody's shoulder, cheating, but I was caught by a proctor. And I was never given my degree. My time at St. Paul's was miserable. Oh, Huntington, poor boy. I'm so sorry I sent you there. I thought it'd be good for you. It's the kind of thing your father would have done. I should have known that was the wrong thing to do. No, Huntington, come to me. Dear boy, you're off to Harvard now. You'll be able to be your own man. Would you like to sleep with your dear mother tonight? Join me in my bed. Um, no, mother. No, thank you. I don't think that's wise. But why? Huntington, you always seem to enjoy it so much. I think I've grown out of that, Mother. As you wish. I loved Harvard. Harvard was made for me because I could go to the classes I wanted and the ones that I didn't. And I thrived at Harvard. I had friends, but only the ones I needed. And I had my own apartment. And my mother moved into a hotel in Cambridge so I could see her when I wanted to. Although there was now a tension between us. She seemed truly sad sometimes when she saw me, like she'd lost something. But I couldn't think about that. I was just happy at Harvard. And at Harvard, I met somebody. I met somebody at a dance. Hello, my name is Huntington Hartford. Oh, hi. I'm Mary Lee. I'm very pleased to meet you. I'm pleased to meet you. Would you like to dance with me? Oh, yes. Night and day, you are the one. Only you beneath the moon and under the sun, whether near to me or far, it's no matter, darling, where you are, I think of you. Night and day, I was so happy. So Mary Lee and I, we eloped. We ran away and got married. And when we got back to Cambridge, I told my mother, oh, Huntington, how could you? I'm deeply, deeply upset. Do you know what her father does? He's a dentist. That we should be married to a dentist. I've spent my whole life trying to get away from people like dentists. He's so bourgeois. Oh, Huntington, how could you? Oh, we'll just have to keep this a secret. I don't want anybody to know that you eloped. We'll say that it was a very quiet ceremony. We'll make something up. And for God's sake, Huntington, from now on, don't ever do anything. Huntington. I was so happy. I went right out and I bought a huge yacht. And we were going to sail up and down the eastern seaboard in my yacht, four-masted. I called it the Joseph Conrad, after my favorite author. How happy we will be as one, two, or three, as on through the seasons we sail. But I was too happy. I was blissful. I was meeting people. I was discovering things, and I wanted more. I wasn't happy being married. I mean, it made me blissful, but it didn't make me blissful enough. So I go out every night to the clubs, to El Morocco, and there I met Mary Barton. Hello. Hey, how you doing? You want something from my box? You can have anything you want from my box. I'm the cigarette girl. You can have cigarettes. You can have candy. What do you want from my box? Crumb bum? How's about it, crumb bum? What do you want? You're quite a character. No, you don't know the first thing about it, crumb bum. You don't know one thing about Mary Barton. When do you get off? Oh, I'm in the next number. I don't just sell cigarettes. I'm on stage. I'm what they call a chlorine. In olden days, the glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. But now God knows anything goes. Ah, and anything does go with me, crumb bum. Well, we'll just have to go out after the number. And Mary Barton and I became a couple. And yes, I was still married, but I was so happy having a wife. And then I go out at night and have my girlfriend. And there were other girls, but Mary Barton was my main girl. And she got pregnant. And she had a little boy. We called him Ed. Oh, Huntington, how could you? A bastard child. Oh my God. Well, it'll have to be sent away. It can't stay here. We'll send it to Florida. That's where bastards go. They go to Florida, and we'll give this Barton woman, Barton. We'll give this Barton woman some money to hush her up. Oh, Huntington, I'm so disappointed. I was blissful. I could have whatever I wanted because I was rich, and nobody made fun of me because I was nouveau riche. My money got me everything. But I did begin to feel like maybe I wanted too much. I tried not to think about it. And I felt the same way. You see, my parents raised me to think that I was rich. And I could like a little rich kid at school and people teased me until I stopped. And I began to realize that there was a real difference between me and Huntington Hartford. that he really could have whatever he wanted, but that it weighed on him. And by the coming of World War II, he was beginning to feel pampered and useless. He tried to work at the A&P, but that only lasted 6 months. And he was too much of a rich boy, and he wanted to party every night. And finally, his uncles fired him. He still had his huge inheritance coming in, but he couldn't work there. They wouldn't let him work there, and he was beginning to feel useless. And then World War II arrived. I'm going to make a name for myself. This is where I'll prove myself. I'm going to fight in the war. I am determined to serve in the US Armed Forces. So what I did was I bent my nose to the grindstone. I got a commission in the United States Navy. It was easy. I just gave them my yacht, the Joseph Conrad. In exchange, they made me an officer in the United States Coast Guard. And I was sent off to train in Alaska and Los Angeles. I loved training because what I wanted more than anything else in the world was to serve as the captain of a naval vessel. Yes, and they made me. They made me an officer and a gentleman. Finally, a uniform I could respect, a uniform that gave me something that I could live up to. And then I was given my first commission, a ship to command. And of course, what I wanted, what I truly wanted, more than anything else in the world, was a destroyer. Yes, a wonderful, sleek, small battleship. Give me some gunfire. Yeah, that's it. Give Huntington some gunfire. But I didn't get a destroyer. What I got instead was a bumbling old cargo ship. I was like Mr. Roberts hauling toilet paper across the safe part of the Pacific. Give me some blub blubs. Blub, 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 blub. But I liked it. I had a command. There wasn't a chart of the sea with all those depths. Yes, surrounding me, commanding my own ship. But I was confused because I confused feet for fathoms. And on a cruise to the Philippines, I ran aground. Oh, well, accidents happen, right? I was a reserve officer. I wasn't like, Navy career. So they gave it to me again because they needed toilet paper. I mean, soldiers use a lot of toilet paper, and I sailed again across the Pacific. But again, I got confused about fathoms and things. I didn't read the charts. So tough that it was, I crunched it twice. So it was taken away from me. I did not have a successful World War II. What I thought would save me, where I could prove myself, had actually proved impossible. I had not come out of it any better than I'd gone into it. And I thought that way too. Anytime I felt despair in my life, like I was useless, like things weren't working out, I thought maybe a calamity will come along, a world catastrophe, and I'll be able to prove myself. But that's not how catastrophes work. Yeah, you have to have the strength of character in you. It doesn't suddenly arrive in the midst of an emergency. If you don't have that strength of character, you're just absent. You're just not there, like Huntington. Well, Huntington returned to New York, and he had some messes he had to clean up because, of course, his wife had become incredibly frustrated about all the women. She didn't think it was fun that he had all these girlfriends, and she didn't think it was worth it. She could get a lot in alimony. Unfortunately, Huntington was in love with her. I adore you, Mary Lee. Please don't leave me, Huntington. I can't live this way. I cannot. You're never around. When you are, I barely have your attention. I keep finding you with girls. I see pictures of you with girls in the paper. Oh, I love you. But she divorced me. I went to my mother. I said, well, it didn't work out. But could we adopt her? I mean, I love her. I mean, if you adopted her, she could be my sister instead of my wife. Oh, Huntington, what are you thinking? Adopt Mary Lee? Are you kidding? I don't need a dentist in the household. And anyway, she's about to get married to Douglas Fairbanks Jr. He wouldn't like it. Well, maybe you could adopt him too. She could be my sister. He could be my brother. And then there was Mary Barton, who was still living in New York. We were giving her money, but she was very upset. I can't live this way. I can't live this way. I want your name. Why can't you marry me? You've gotten rid of that tramp you married. Marry me. Don't call her a tramp. Well, she is. All she wanted was your money. Why can't you marry me? I so much want to be uh, your wife. I want to be a part of the A&P and our son, Ed. He wants your name too. Why can't you marry me? Why can't you give us a name? I'm so distraught. I am. I will kill myself. I will jump out this window. I will throw myself out this window. Huntington, Huntington, I will kill myself. I will jump. You don't think I have the courage? You don't think I can? All right, maybe I can't jump out that window, but I can take pills. I can kill myself with pills. I love you so much, Crumbum. I just love. She was dead. Suicide. And I realized I needed a change of environment. I needed someplace new. I needed to get out of New York. I needed to get away from it all. I needed to get away from the environment where I was corrupt, where I was tempted to do the wrong things. So I headed west to California, to a blank slate, a blank wall, a corner of the world where I hadn't proved myself. Here in the Great Plains of California, I could do something. I could be someone. In Hollywood, I could make a new start. And the great thing about Hollywood was it was the film industry. So it was full of cultured people, but there was no culture. There was nothing. There's no literary scene. There were no museums to speak of. There were no theaters, no plays, nothing legitimate. I thought I'd just go out there and take the town by storm. I would bring culture to them. I was a refined man. I was from Harvard. So I bought a huge estate, a huge tract of land, Runyon Canyon, the biggest single piece of land in the Hollywood Hills. And I got the best architect of all time to design a house for me. It would also be a sports club, a resort. Frank Lloyd Wright. Isn't that magnificent? Look at that. He designed that for me. Isn't it incredible? Space age. It was still the 40s and he designed this incredible house for me. It was amazing. All of LA would come to this house. There'd be a big parking lot, a big freeway that would lead to it. Of course, that was the problem. The neighbors didn't want it. My beautiful house, my space age house, was never built. I designed that house for him. I'll tell you something about Huntington Hartford. He has a great idea. He reaches out and he pinches it in the ass, and then he runs. Oh, phooey, what does Wright know? He's a great architect, but he doesn't know people. He doesn't know practicalities. I decided instead of building that house, I decided what I'd do is build an artist's colony in Malibu. Nobody cared what you did out there. So I bought a huge tract of Malibu. And there I would invite the artists that I liked. And the artists I didn't like were the abstract people, the abstract artists, people like Pollock and de Kooning, this weird art that everybody was embracing, that the critics said people should like. Nobody liked abstraction. The people didn't like it. They were being hoodwinked. Abstraction basically gives you an image. Here's a house. And then abstraction says, no, that's not a good image. This is a good image. The house disintegrated, torn up, confused, mangled. It's insanity. The first abstract artist was Vasily Kandinsky. He wanted to paint abstraction, but he kept painting realism. And then one day he walked into his studio and he saw a painting that he painted. He recognized it, but it was abstract. How did he done it? He didn't remember doing it. And they realized it was a painting of a countryside. He had just put it on the floor upside down. And abstraction was born. It's absurd. American culture was insane. It was full of corruptions like that, anarchy, communism. I wanted to get back to something basic. I wanted to invite artists to my colony that people had rejected because they were realists, like Edward Hopper, huge in the 20s and 30s, but then nobody would buy his paintings in the 40s. He came to my Malibu colony and painted. I also invited Christopher Isherwood because he'd been rejected, because he was homosexual. Everybody knew it. He would come there and be on my board of directors. I would embrace the people that nobody else would embrace. And I would show that realism, ethical art, is the best art. And to design the houses for the Malibu colony, I didn't hire Wright. I hired his son, Lloyd Wright. Yes, Lloyd Wright was just like me. He was heir to a fantastic legacy, but nobody knew what he was capable of. This is one of the studios he designed for my Malibu colony. Isn't it great? Look at the studio windows. They face the sun. Whoever thought of that? Lloyd Wright was amazing. And my Malibu colony suddenly was recreating art. There was the Museum of Modern Art in New York, which was promulgating abstraction and weirdness. There was the New York Theater, which was putting on plays by people like Arthur Miller and Thornton Wilder. Strange stuff. I would recreate LA. I decided that'd be my next step. Theater. I must build some theaters. So I got Lloyd Wright to design, yes, indeed, a theater square on Wilshire Boulevard, but it was never built. We couldn't get it built. First, my father worked for him, Frank Lloyd Wright. Then I worked for him, and my father had it right. Huntington Hartford would have an idea, he'd pinch it in the ass, and then he'd run. Oh, phooey, what do the Wrights know? It's hard to get things built, especially theaters in a Philistine town like Los Angeles. It's difficult. And then I met my true inspiration, Marjorie Steele. Hello. Well, hi. I'm Huntington Hartford, and I'm Marjorie Steele. I'm from England. Really? You don't have an accent? No. I got rid of my English accent because I want to be an American actress. That's funny. Most Americans want an English accent. They think it sounds classy. I want to succeed in America, not because I have an English accent, but because I'm a great actress. Well, maybe I can help you. I don't need help. I have the one ingredient that never needs help. I have talent. I was determined to help her. I would build a theater in the middle of Los Angeles. There were no legitimate theaters. There was no theater in Los Angeles. There was just film. So on the corner of Hollywood and Vine, I built the Huntington Hartford Playhouse, and I would put on only plays there. And suddenly, in the middle of Hollywood would be opening nights, Klieg lights coursing through the sky, not for movies, but for plays. And the first play would be something surefire. I couldn't do it with Marjorie yet, not with Marjorie Steele. It wasn't ready yet. She wasn't big enough yet. So I would launch the project with a star, Helen Hayes. I asked Miss Hayes, what do you want to perform? And she said, I want to perform my favorite play, What Every Woman Knows. Oh, it was this wonderful play by James Barrie. And it was set in Ireland. And what everyone knows is that women are powerful. It was a feminist track. It was a suffragette play. And the second act, Helen Hayes had this incredible monologue where she said, what every woman knows, what every woman in Ireland knows and all over the world is that behind every great man is a great woman. And now has come the time for the women to show that they can be great in and of themselves. I was so proud of that production. I loved it. And it was savaged by the critics. They said it was old news. Helen Hayes had been doing it for 30 years. Why was I putting on this play? They didn't want to hear the message I was trying to promote about women. They didn't care. They were bored. They loved Helen Hayes, but they hated my theater. They hated my producing. They hated my choice of play. I was so frustrated, but I decided the next play would be Marjorie's play. Marjorie Steele, who is now my wife. And not only would it star Marjorie, but I would make sure that it was a hit because for her co-star, I would give her the greatest star of all time, Errol Flynn, live on stage, that great swashbuckler. Unfortunately, the play would not be produced at the Huntington Hartford Playhouse on Hollywood and Vine. It would go on the road and eventually it would open in New York. Of course I wouldn't do it at the Huntington Hartford Playhouse in Los Angeles. I mean, I'm not stupid, you know. To do live theater for all those show business hawks. Can you imagine what people in the film colony would think of me having to go on stage to make money? They jeer at me. I absolutely refuse to perform theater in Hollywood for those Philistines. They'd say that I was broke, that I'd have to take any job coming. They'd sneer at me. So I said, absolutely not. I will not perform in Los Angeles. We must take this on the road and we can go to New York or somewhere where they will adore me. Also, I wasn't sure about our leading lady. She didn't seem to be quite up to snuff, if you know what I mean. But that problem sort of took care of itself because one day Marjorie went to Huntington Hartford and she was very clear. I don't want to do the play. I don't want to do Jane Eyre with Errol Flynn. Why? The man's charming. It's not that. I want to succeed on my own. And this all smacks of, well, it smacks of Citizen Kane. Like you don't think I have any talent and you're going to force me down the throat of the public. I don't feel that way at all. I just want to give you the best platform possible. Huntington, we're very different people. We're married, but we live apart. You know that. I have the children, Christy and Jackie, and I have my career, and you have, well, many things. My career will be in New York and London on my own without your help. I don't need you to prop me up, Huntington. I love you. I appreciate you. I worry about you. But I don't need you to prop me up. But it was very sad that he couldn't get his wife to be in his own show, especially a show he had put on just for her. But it didn't make any difference to me. I was happy to have an income. Unfortunately, I was homeless. I had to sell my house to pay alimony. I sold this mansion on Mulholland Drive, and suddenly I needed a place to live. So I went to Huntington Hartford the second. And I said, Dear Huntington, I hate to report, but now that I'm on your payroll, I need a place to live. I'm homeless. It's quite true. I have alimony to pay. I have to pay for orthodontia for all those moppets that I sired. So, is there some place where I can live? Um, well, I suppose you could live at Running Canyon in my house. Oh, well, it's so nice of you to move out on my behalf. Running Canyon, I do love that house so much. Is it still drafty? Are there still spiders and cockroaches? Perhaps the cockroaches will eat the spiders and then the spiders will freeze to death. I'll move in on Sunday. Don't feel any urgency about moving out. Just be out by Sunday. I do hope you can come by next week and meet my lady friend. She'd so like to meet you. Oh, Huntington, there you are. Come up here on the veranda. You know where it is. The floorboards do creak a bit. There's somebody I'd love you to meet. This is my girlfriend. Her name is Beverly Adland, two A's in a row. Isn't she just scrumptious? Hello, I'm Huntington Hartford. I'm very pleased to meet you. Would you excuse us, Miss Adland? Flynn, how old is she? Oh, she's the perfect age, Huntington. Isn't she a pip? Yes, but how old is she? Oh, she's 15. Although I think she might be lying. I think she might be 12. Isn't she just scrumptious? Flynn, she can't live here. She's underage. Are you judging me, Mr. Hartford? I wouldn't recommend it. I'm your meal ticket, dear. You're tied to me. Without me, your idea about refashioning the American theater will be dead in the water. I suggest that you make accommodations and get to like her quickly. I'll sleep with whomever I choose. It's wrong, Flynn. Don't judge me. Hartford, you're a nobody with a big checkbook. So I did his wretched play all the way across the country. I never made it to New York because in Cincinnati, Daryl called me up. Hey, Flynn, it's Danik. Hey, Flynn, it's Daryl. How you doing? Yeah, Errol, Daryl. Hey, have I got a property for you? I want to star you in a new picture. You'll love this property. It's Ernest Hemingway's Sun Also Rises, and there's a perfect role for you. Yeah, you'll be playing a drunk. A drunk! That I can do. Typecasting. Oh my goodness, it's method acting. I'll be like Marlon Brando. Oh, I couldn't be more excited. Thank you so much, Daryl, for saving me from this monstrosity, Jane Eyre. So, Errol didn't make it to New York. He left the show on the road right after Cincinnati, taking all my money with him. I had to sue him later to get it back. And the show came into New York with its understudy, who actually gave a magnificent performance. A terrific actor, but he wasn't going to sell tickets. And the critics savaged my production. Not at all what I'd expected it to be. And I sat there on opening night, realizing that my dream of redefining the American theater was kaput. And I wondered if I would ever succeed in this city, if I'd ever conquer New York, artistically, theatrically. I stood on the street, looking up at the skyscrapers soaring above me, wondering if I would ever soar like that above Manhattan. Would I ever find it, the grail that soared into the skies, would I ever achieve such majesty, such grace, towering above everything? The grace, the majesty, the beauty, the power of a Chrysler building. Would I? Could I even dream of ever being that? My first massive disappointment. And of course, my attorney contacted me. He was desperate. He was angry. Huntington, you've got to stop creating things. You don't make any money. All of your money comes from A&P. All you do is lose money. You had $500,000 when you got out of college. Now you've got less than half. You've got to stop creating things. You've got to liquidate. You've got to stop with the Broadway productions and the artist colonies and the theaters. You've got to stop it. And I told him, relax, don't worry about it. I got a plan. I've got something I'm working on. Yes, it's going to be great. It's going to rectify everything. It's going to put me back in flush. I am buying Hog Island in the Bahamas. Yes, it's going to be incredible. It's this beautiful island, and I'm going to rename it Paradise Island. And I'm going to put on it a swank resort, a very exclusive resort. It's only going to be for the most refined people. Yes, indeed. It's not going to be tacky. It's going to have taste. It's going to go for people who just want to relax and lay in the sun and tan their backs. Sun, sand, and relaxation. And I've already given money to the Black Progressive Liberal Party. So when the British fall, when the British government falls there, I'll be in with them. It won't be like Cuba. I'll be in with the new government, the local government. It's all set. And I'm not going to have a bridge to Nassau because I don't want just anybody to come. I'm not going to have gambling. I don't want it to be tacky. It's going to be a resort with taste, and that's going to put me back on top. It's actually going to make money. And now I'm ready to open my gallery of modern art. Yes, this is the gallery where I'm going to show what I think is modern art, realist art, not that hoity-toity, weird abstraction crap of Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning. None of that stuff. I'm going to build an art gallery on Columbus Circle in the middle of Manhattan, and I've gotten the best architect imaginable, Edward Durrell Stone, the man who built the Museum of Modern Art, and he's built this magnificent edifice. Look at it. It's travertine soaring up into the sky, and this is Venetian marble. And it's like a veil. It lets the light in for the art, marble that lets light in. And it's all surmounted on these wonderful pillars, these columns, sending it soaring up above Columbus Circle, soaring up above even Columbus. And it's going to have in it all my favorite realist artists. This apostate, this new postmodernist, the man who defined modernism is going to create postmodernism for me. And while he does it, he's going to send us back into realism. I'm going to put all my paintings in there: Corot, Courbet, Manet, Gauguin, and a huge painting by Salvador Dali of Columbus discovering the New World, a celebration of realism. It will be magnificent. And I will promote the work of the under acknowledged, the people who've never gotten a chance at art galleries, homosexuals, artists who are Black, women. And for my opening show, to state my principles, to say what I think is important, I will put on the work of Pavel Chelichu, a homosexual artist from the 1920s. He lived openly as a homosexual, and he's been rejected by the Museum of Modern Art because he's a homosexual, because he's a realist, and he will be my first exhibition. I am so proud of my children, Christy and Jackie, and I want them to know that they can live in a world that accepts people, and that's what my museum will promote. We had a glorious opening, and unfortunately, Marjorie came back to New York with Jackie and Christy, and I guess the apartment, the triplex on One Beekman Place, wasn't ready for her, because when she entered, a young lady was staying there who'd taken all of Marjorie's closet space. When I came home after the opening, Marjorie was distraught. Huntington, how long can we live like this? My career is finally advancing, and I come home to bedroom. It's confusing. You neglect the children. You don't pay attention to them. You ignore them. You ignore me. And now there are women everywhere, even in my boudoir. I have been depressed for so long, Huntington. I swear I will kill myself. I will throw myself out that window if you don't divorce me. I cannot live this way any longer. I can't. I will go out this window. Calm down, calm down. It'll be fine. It won't be fine. I want a divorce. So I divorced Marjorie, the love of my life. I lost her because of the women, because of ignoring her. But I had a new show opening at the Gallery of Modern Art. It was a show of Aubrey Beardsley, who was homosexual. He was a contemporary of Oscar Wilde. As a matter of fact, he illustrated Oscar Wilde's plays, and he was openly gay. And he lived his whole life openly gay and eccentric, and nobody wanted to show his stuff because it was realist, because he was homosexual. So I showed it. And my next show was an exhibition of Black artists. Nobody else had done that in New York. And then my next show after that was a show of women artists curated by a woman. Nobody had done this. It was revolutionary. I was redefining what made art important, but didn't succeed. The critics hated my museum. They hated everything about it, especially the building. They said it was a Venetian horror house on lollipops. They hated the art. They hated my art theory. They said I was reactionary, hateful. I published a book of my theory. They said, ugh. I realized that all I had was a frame without a picture. It was empty. The public didn't come. I couldn't keep going. And my attorney called me up and he said, Huntington, you've got to stop. You have got to stop. You've got to stop this. You've got to close that museum. You've got to close the theater in LA. You've got to close that art colony. You've got to get rid of that island, Paradise Island. It is draining you. You're not making any money. You're just spending. And I said to him, I can't. I can't. I'm doing so much good right now. He said, you're not. You're just going broke. People are exploiting you. I said, okay. I'll close the artist colony. But can I sell it? He said, you've got to sell it. You've got to sell it. You've got to make money off it. And I found a buyer, Cary Grant. He said he would buy the artist colony in Malibu. And then he said, I didn't realize that artist colony was full of artists. I'd be throwing them out on the street. I'd be the laughing stock of Hollywood. I'd be considered a heel. No way, no way, no way. So I pretty much gave away the artist's colony. And the theater, the Huntington Hartford Theater, it became a venue for actresses, great actresses, to go back on the stage once more. People who were washed up in movies could go on the stage and play the great roles. Betty Davis, Tallulah Bankhead, and my favorite, Phoebe Lee. They could go on stage and command the stage, but it wasn't making enough money. All those great actresses, and not enough people wanted to see them. So I shut the Playhouse. And the actresses, they went back to playing supporting roles in other people's movies. And my island, Paradise Island, on which I based all my hopes of resurgence, the island that would save me, the island that would bring me all back, was failing. Nobody wanted to go there. So I built the bridge to Nassau so that anybody could get in. And anybody did, but it still didn't make enough money. And then I opened up a casino. And then I was in with the mob, Meyer Lansky. I was basically working for Meyer Lansky, losing more money than ever. My children were unhappy. They kept coming to me. My children with Marjorie, Christy, and Jackie. Dad, we just want to see you. You ignore us. You're never around. We just want to spend time with you. I'm busy. I'm just busy. You're treating us exactly the way your father treated you. Don't say that to me. Don't ever say that to me. I'm not my father. Okay, Dad, we just want to spend time with you. I'm too busy. I got too much on my plate. And then my son, by Mary Barton, Ed, who'd been living in Florida the whole time, he came to me and said, I don't even want money, Dad. I don't want anything. I just want your name. I want to be a Hartford like you. I want to be Edward Hartford. No. Then everybody would know I had an illegitimate son. No, everybody does know it. Yeah, but the papers don't know it. If I make it official, the papers will know. What do you care? You worry about what the papers think, and they don't like you anyway. Don't say that to me. Don't say that to me. I'll give you money. I'll give you whatever you want, but not my name. It's all I want from you, Dad. No, never. Then one night he checked into a flea bag hotel in Manhattan. He had a gun. He put it in his mouth and Christy was next, my daughter. She'd started drinking, doing drugs. She lost control. She went to Hawaii and they found her dead on a beach in Malibu. Nobody knows why, but I know why. She went the way of Mary Barton and Ed. She went the way that her mother had threatened to go. The only way to get away from me, do yourself in. And all I wanted to do was sleep. I just wanted to sleep. I wanted to get away from it all. I didn't want to think about anything. I wanted to stop thinking about my failures, everything that had gone wrong, everything I'd done wrong. I wanted to stop. And you know what helps with that? Barbiturates. Barbiturates help a lot with sleep. I became a pill fiend. And drink helps too. It helps a lot. Cocktails. I never been a drinker, but I discovered I loved cocktails. And my new wife, she's 21 years old. And she's 1/3 my age. Isn't that remarkable? And we're going to have a baby. We're going to have a little baby. And I'm going to do it right this time. This time, I'm going to do it all right. I'm gonna clean up my act. I'm going to pay attention to him. I'm going to raise him. He's going to have my name. And then my attorney started calling me again. Oh, brother, Huntington, Huntington, you got to listen to me. You got to get rid of stuff. You got to get rid of that island. Paradise Island, it's anything but. It's a disaster. Do you know who's living there now? Howard Hughes. He's living in seclusion. He's a freak. He's scaring people away. He's afraid of fungus. And you know what else? Nixon is laundering money through Paradise Island. Have you heard of this? He's part of the whole Watergate scandal. Yeah, they're investigating him. His committee to reelect was laundering money through that island. You've got to get rid of it. Nah. You think those are celebrities? Howard Hughes and Richard Nixon. Now I'll tell you who a celebrity is. A celebrity is Bobby Darin. Yeah, that's what my young wife Diane has decided. She's sleeping with him, Bobby Darin, beyond the sea. Yeah, he's beyond something. Mm. Uh, anyway, I got rid of Diane and I got a new wife, Elaine. You've got to get rid of Paradise. You can't afford it. Never. No, I'll never get rid of Paradise. Never, never. You've got to. You're broke. There's no paradise for you. Impossible. I can't be broke. I'm the heir to the A&P fortune. I am the heir. And I, reading about all this, I was fascinated. I had that sick fascination you have with a train wreck. There was something so glamorous about his whole life, then something so horrible about his whole life. And now he was just a balloon shriveling up and floating down towards Earth. But like a rock, he was speeding towards Earth, like a meteorite. He was going to slam into it. It was fascinating. I'll try anything. I'll try everything. I finally discovered drugs. Oh my goodness. Mm. My first was heroin. Yeah. Oh, I got that from my fourth wife, Elaine. I loved me some heroin. Oh, that made me sleep. That made me sleep. All right. Oh, and when I need to wake back up again, cocaine. Just a few lines. And when I wanted to dream, LSD. Mm. And of course, Bailey's. Don't ever forget Bailey's. I had a whole closet full of Bailey's. A journalist discovered it. It ended up in the New York Post. Everybody loved my Bailey's stories. Oh, I loved my Bailey's. Mm-mm. Elaine. Elaine's yelling at me. Shut up! Shut up down there. The co-op board here, they want us out. They want to throw us out. We're too noisy. Too many druggies hanging around here. And all my stuff's been stolen. All those nice paintings from the museum, all stolen. Doesn't matter. We're having fun. Mm. So the co-op board threw us out and we moved to East 13th. And Elaine came with me. I mean, we were divorced at that point, but she wanted to be with me. She's a great little wife. Yeah, even in divorce, she's a great wife. I just love her. And every night we'd go out to Studio 54. Oh, I love Studio 54. Night and day. You are the one. Only you beneath the moon. And under the sun, whether near to me or far. And I became famous. I became famous for no other reason than being famous. That's all I was. And you know, who was like me? Andy Warhol. He created that whole concept, except I was better at it than he was because, of course, you know, he actually did stuff. I didn't do anything. I was washed up. I was just famous for being famous. Ah. And then eventually, they called into question my sanity to take care of myself. So I had to sort of pull myself together and appear in court. They said I was fine. And Elaine was still living with me. And we just did drugs and hung out. And I didn't have to worry about anything. And then my attorney came and found me. We'd lost the house on East 13th. And we'd moved to Brooklyn. And I was basically living on the floor of one of the rooms in Brooklyn. And Elaine was supposed to be taking care of me, but she was doing so many drugs that she couldn't. So I just sort of took care of myself. And somehow or other, attorney got power over everything. And well, that was all right with me, so long as she gave me my drugs. And she moved me to upstate New York, and I was basically dying. And then my daughter by Elaine came by. Juliet, Dad, what are you doing on the floor? What are you doing? Dad, we have to get you out of here. We have to get you out of here right now. I'm going to take you away. I'll take you back to Paradise Island. Used to have some property there. Dad, you can't live like this. You're going to die. Yeah, I am. I'll tell you something, Juliet. I am going to die. I was told that. My heart, it's had too much stress. It's had too much drama. I am going to die. Okay, Dad, come on. Come on. We're going to get you on a plane and fly you back to paradise. So I ended up living with my daughter, Juliet, in paradise. She was a piff. I always wanted to make paradise work. And I found if I really tried, it could work for me. I was there. Everybody thought I was dead at 80. Guess what? I lived to be 97 years old. And Vanity Fair came and interviewed me. And they were so sly with their questions. But I said to them, money's a funny thing. Because if you make money in America, people are really impressed. They're really impressed with that. But if you try to do something with your money, if you try to help people, and you don't make any money, people tease you. They hate you. They make fun of you. Thank you. I'm John Fisher, and this has been Heart Hunt. And I still can't quite explain my obsession with Huntington Hartford. I think it's the train wreck quality, and then going back to him trying to redefine theater and art. And I seem to disagree with everything he did in his life. But there was something oddly ambitious about him. He wasn't going to settle for just being a rich guy. Many of his friends, Astor and Vanderbilt, they were just rich. But he was always trying stuff. Even that final interview in Vanity Fair, he was still haunted by things. His childhood at St. Paul's, the shower room, his mother, his marriages, the suicides. But he still believed. He still believed that he might still be able to do something with his money. He squandered hundreds of millions. As a matter of fact, his biography is called Squandered Fortune. But if he was judgmental, his biographers have been even more judgmental. And very complicated, difficult American life. I'll be back on Wednesday for my Thanksgiving show. It is about the man who created WikiLeaks and about him, but also about the dilemma of understanding him and the complexity of deciding, has he done something good or has he done something stupid? So join me on Wednesday at 7 p.m. It's a little earlier, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. for those of you in California. I'm John Fisher. I'm coming to you from New York City, available right there behind me, soaring above me. And I think there it is, the Empire State Building, which tonight is blue and red. I wonder what that's about. And something else today. New York's going kind of crazy. It's a big day in New York City, probably all across the country. I'm not sure it's a good one. Anyway, thank you so much for being here tonight. I enjoyed performing for you. Thank you for the dog barking, for the destroyer sounds, for the blub, blub, blub of the ship. And I'll see you on Wednesday at 7 o'clock for a song, a piece about the man who created WikiLeaks. Until then, good night.